Okay, so there's the recording in progress sign. I'm going to make myself the spotlight. There we go. There we go. So welcome to your practice tonight. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that we found the time in this space to be together virtually. And we all seem to be kind of working through some interesting individual sort of moments and feelings and shifts and changes. And tonight's practice is just a seated practice. You could do this standing, you could do this laying down if you wanted, definitely. But we want to bring some movement into the body tonight so that the body and the brain is really coordinated rather than just sitting and reflecting on things. But the movement is it's mostly upper body. It'll just be, you really just need sort of this amount of space around you. Like that. You could sit in a chair, you could sit on the floor, and if you're feeling really tired, like maybe you've just had a week and moving your arms like that, you're like, I don't even want to do that. You could just imagine, really, you could just imagine yourself doing it too. So as you get comfortable, give yourself a little wiggle, little wobble. I'm just going to go over some somatic principles, just to sort of drop these into your awareness, and it might explain why we do things the way we do things in mindful somatic practices. Some of the principles or concepts around mindful somatic wellness is we learn what we practice. Seems kind of obvious, right? That's why we practice things, is to learn them. And building off of that, we kind of realize that we are always practicing something. So we learn what we're doing, and we're always doing something. And our doingness is usually a practice of some sort. Making coffee, being at work, mindfulness practices. We're always practicing something, and we become what we practice. And we are what we have practiced. We become what we practice. And we want to remember that our body doesn't realize what is real and what is not real. Our nervous system responds consistently to inner and outer stimulus as though it was real. When we're watching like a exciting action movie or a horror movie, for instance, your nervous system doesn't interpret that as make-believe. Your brain does, but your nervous system reacts as though it was really happening what you're viewing. And feelings and moods and emotions tell us what we care about. Tell our bodies what we care about. So our feelings and moods and emotions tell us what we care about. Our history is always pushing to the foreground. Count on it. And so is everybody else's. So our history, conscious and unconscious, is always pushing to the foreground because that's been a type of practice. So we're going to notice that in our practice tonight. And the sum total of all of our history is in our body. Our entire life practice is stored in here, and we can't lose that, no matter how hard we try or as much as we would like to in some cases, but we can learn through it. So these are some principles to somatic practice. Just something to reflect on. So let's kind of wobble a little bit. You might drop into your sit bones a little bit. And as you've kind of dropped down, can you explore your vertical line? This internal lifting from inside of the body. And sometimes we imagine a thread from the top of the head pulling us up, but could you start from your tailbone? Could you start through the hips and through your stomach and through your heart? So lifting up through the vertical line, maybe going through the top of the head And then slowly coming back down. So exploring going up and then exploring kind of a gentle collapse. So we're coming down out of the vertical line and then a lifting up through the vertical line of the body. And it could be really subtle and more internal, or it could be really big and external, but just this a few times of feeling the body lift and then kind of deflate or collapse in and of itself a little bit or a lot. And then an inner lifting again. That inner lifting, that really gentle, almost like a plant kind of growing up, this gentle inner lifting. Could you be in a vertical position where your brain is centered right over your heart, the beating structure of the heart, the organ of the brain over the beating of the heart? And the beating of the heart over the digestive system. So noticing that the vertical axis of our very human self can be gently lifted, it can be softly vertical. And that this alignment that we're exploring isn't about structure, function, bones over bones, but rather it's the thinking mind over the beating heart. Over the processing digestive system. Just bringing these three parts of self together with some soft breath that feels good for you. For another soft inhale and a gentle exhale. Getting to be aware of the ground beneath you, the floor spreading out all around you, that gentle tug of gravity on the vertical line. And we'll do some gentle movement practice now by bringing our hands behind us and palms kind of facing down to the ground towards the earth. So this is the earth. This is the ground. We're going to ground. You could even touch the ground if you wanted to. And when we're on the ground, when we're a part of the ground, when we feel the ground, we ask ourselves, what is important to me? What is the ground that I want to stand upon? So with your hands reaching behind you, feeling the ground, bringing to mind, what is important to me? From ground, we're going to spin the hands behind us and we're going to start to move through water, the fluidity of water, the connection of water to all things. So as you reach behind you now, you might even arc the spine a little tiny bit if that feels good. And we're reaching behind to our ancestors and to teachers and to people in our past that helped us get here. Take a breath. Like water, move your hands beside you, hands open up beside you. We're holding hands with those that walk the journey with us. So reaching your hands out to the side and maybe even tipping a little bit from side to side here, connecting to those that we journey with, our family, our friends. And like water, bringing the hands in front of us, palms reach out in front of us. Now we're kind of curling through the front line of the body. Here's where we hold children, our children, or future generations, where those walking before us, we have their back. So offering support out in front of us to those who need support, who are learning their path and their journey. And when you're ready, let these hands raise up above you. Opening your arms like a big cup and letting this water spill down, letting your relationship to the people behind you, the people who walk the path with you, and the children in front of us, letting hands come down, letting this water just pour. You could let hands come to rest on the body when you're ready, or you could let hands come down and coming back to ground. What's important to you? And slowly come up at about the level of the heart. I saw some of you instinctively go there. And rather than bringing palms together, we're going to bring them like this. And we're at fire. So just gently hands sliding up and down, creating a little bit of heat. This is fire. There's movement to it, and there's a little breath. And fire is our discernment. It's our creativity. It's where we burn off the chaff, where we take something big and heavy and we turn it into light, intention, movement. So here's fire. This is where we can really start to make some decisions about things. Our relationship with self, our relationship with others. Who am I? Am I connected? And now here's my force. Here's my life force. Yeah, and you could even, if you wanted to, go slow, or you could go a little faster. Taking a couple of breaths, still being in that vertical line. What are you burning away? What have you been carrying that's too heavy, like logs, that you want to turn into energy? When you've created this little bit of heat or you've explored fire, bring it out in front of you, because we're going to turn it into wind. Now, when we're in wind, we're looking at someone else and remembering that they're operating from their past too. And it might feel like there are people out there sending things to us, feelings, opinions, thoughts, choices. So see them, see what they're sending to you. Remember that they're orienting from their place, their body too. And then let that come towards you just with one hand. You're pulling it away. And you're seeing whatever it is that they're sending to you come towards you. And then you watch it go past you and behind you. You don't hold on to it. Good. Bring that hand back. Letting hands come towards the heart again, around the front of the body. Finding vertical line, creating a bit of heat again. There's a lot that you maybe feel is being thrown your way lately. Lots of opinions, lots of information, lots of thoughts. Remember your ground. Feel your ground even as you feel fire. Ground the fire. What's important to you? Once you have the heat, the hands come out in front of you. See that person sending something to you, or that place, that job? See that it's coming from them. Watch them send it out to you. We're slowing this down. It's coming towards you. You're gently pulling this towards you. And then instead of holding on to it or letting it land in you, you watch it go past you, past your face, just brushing your cheek. And then it goes behind you. You can let it go. And then feeling this spaciousness. And if you have the room, you might even twist a few times side to side. Feeling all of the space around you when you don't have to hold anybody else's ideas or opinions. or thoughts or concepts. This is your space. And you could feel the space above you. Letting your body feel good here with a little bit of twist and a little bit of movement. And then we'll let the hands come down because they might be feeling kind of tired after that. Coming back to ground, coming back to ground. You could feel the ground by placing your hands on it, or you could rest your feet upon it and invite that vertical exploration again, that slow waving through the body, that gentle lifting through the spine, through the top of the head. And then maybe a slow coming down and inward, letting go of the vertical line, exploring both of those points so that you know when you're in the vertical aspect of your body. From inside of the body that's lifting, maybe from your tailbone, maybe from your reproductive pelvic area through your intestines, feeling your heart lift, and then your head over top of your heart. And then maybe feeling yourself roll forward again. Coming back up into your vertical seated position, or maybe you're ready to lay down. Spending a few minutes right here. Your mind, the organ of the brain, resting comfortably over top of the beating emotional structure of the heart, resting comfortably on top of the processing and digesting of the organs of our digestive system. And bringing these three parts of our humanness and breathing them together. So taking some breaths here that connect all three of these areas. Is there one of these parts, head, heart, stomach, digestive area, that feels more available to you than another part? Is there one part that feels like it's quite available to feeling, to emotion, to sensation? It could be all three of these different areas of the body are talking to you. So you could pick one, or you could be unsure about those sensations or feelings. Maybe you're not sure what you might be feeling. So you could imagine where you might be having more sensation. But pick one of these areas. Maybe you're thinking a lot. Maybe you're feeling a lot of emotions, or maybe you're feeling like you're doing a lot of processing. And you're invited just to take a hand and let that hand rest on that part. So if it feels comfortable, you might just bring a little touch support. Once your hand has landed there, allow your hand to feel this body part. And then switch your awareness so that this part of you feels the support of the hand. You might bring this together with some breath, with inhale and exhale. And then we're just going to ask this part of us what its needs are. And the invitation is to be really empathic about that and not too thoughty, too thinky about it. If this part that you're holding had a request, what would the request be? And just knowing what that request might be: movement or breath or even a little bit of sound. It might be asking you to rest more often or to slow down. The request might be for you to pay attention. What's the request? We might bring this other hand to another part of the body. It could be these 3 levels, it could be somewhere else. But if you wanted to, you could bring your other hand, or you could just bring your imagination or your awareness to that other part of your body, kind of connecting the two of them. And letting the hand sense that part of your body. And allowing that part of your body to sense the weight and the temperature and the support of your hand. And then bring both of these hands together with your awareness and your breath. So connecting them with inhale and exhale, imagining that you're threading them together. You might ask this other part of you that you're touching if it has a request or a need. And the invitation is to be kind of empathic about it, just the first thing that sort of comes from this area of the body. Maybe it's just asking for some more clear breath to and from this part of you. When we're ready, we're slowly going to take our awareness, our dual awareness, our hands away from these parts of our body, and we're going to bring both hands to the part that was the quietest. So for me today, it's my head. And if it's your head, you could even touch your forehead and base of the skull, the occiput, and the neurolymphatic reflex points of the forehead. It could be like this, it could be like this. You know, if you had your hand on your head, it might be both hands on your heart or both hands on your digestive system. Now we're bringing the intelligence and the awareness of the first 2 areas of your body, and we're connecting now to this area that was maybe the quietest. And then we'll connect a little touch support here, letting the hands feel this part of you and letting this part of you feel your hands. And then breathing here. Noticing where you could soften a little bit. Does this area have a request? Is there a need or a want here? That. You might slowly take both hands down. You could let them rest on your lap or somewhere else, coming back to ground, coming back to vertical line, comfortable, supported, mobile. And then just drop into a few breaths here. So we don't need to change or manipulate the breath. We're just allowing the breath to show up as an inhale and an exhale, almost as though we are being breathed, as opposed to we are breathing. following inhale and exhale, nothing too complicated, nothing to do, nothing to want, nothing to worry over in this moment. Just experiencing being breathed. The recognition that nothing will be perfect, and that's exactly perfect, that nothing will be perfect. When you've taken a couple of breaths and you've allowed yourself to be breathed, a little final movement practice, connecting these three parts. We bring our hands right at the base of the digestive tract, of the digestive organs. This part of our body that takes in single items of food and then breaks them down into smaller, more useful components and lets go of the rest. So this part of us that's able to deliver nutrients without us having to think about it, and the intelligence of the digestive tract. And then we're going to inhale this intelligence from the digestive tract up to the level of the heart. This emotional beating area of us where we feel and hold so much, this part that allows us to reach out to others. And we're going to spin the hands down, and we're going to take the intelligence of the beating electrical connected heart, and we're going to bring it down with the breath to the digestive tract. So we'll do that again a few more times, lifting, feeling the body lift, maybe even feeling the spine lift. And then grounding down to discernment from emotion. Bringing a sense of discernment up to the level of connection and knowledge and knowing. And then breathing it back down to being able to take something too big and taking it apart into what's useful. For these two dantians, we're going to inhale and lift the intelligence of discernment and of emotion and connection all the way up to mind, which is thought and understanding and intuition. And then we'll bring intuition and thought and understanding down through the level of the heart, through emotion and movement and connection, all the way down to discernment, nourishment, and release. We'll try that a few more times. And gentle lifting all the way up past the heart, up to the mind that likes to be dominant, likes to be pushed around by the wind sometimes, and then grounding the mind, letting it feel connected into the emotional heart space, and then grounding it deeply into the area of nourishment and release. Try that a couple of more times. Maybe following the breath. Maybe these last couple of times as we come down, we might exhale with a sound. We might inhale and lift. Bringing life force all the way up and then letting it go with sound and breath, letting it all go. When you're ready, you might just let hands rest again. You might wobble from sit bone to sit bone. Maybe you are naturally coming into that soft vertical alignment now. Maybe you don't have to work to get there. That could be an interesting noticing. Or you might want to explore again, letting go of vertical. And then finding it again. And you could do this any way you wanted. It could be letting go vertical to the side, more of a lateral, and then lifting. And to the other side. Letting this kind of filter in now. Place your hands down, or you can have palms up. Really gently coming back to a soft inhale and a soft exhale. And noticing if it feels like you're really pushing and pulling on the breath, and that's okay too. But would it feel easier? Could you invite more ease in by just allowing the breath to move how it wants to move? When we have decisions to make, some of the nice somatic practices that bring us back into being, I mean, there's lots that we've practiced over time with balance and standing. But if you wanted to take away something from this practice, if it's felt like it's helped you feel a little tethered or a little more in your body, a little more located in yourself as a human, going to ground is a nice one. And you don't even have to do the water or the fire. You could go to ground and then going to wind. Seeing things come at you, letting them blow past you, and then coming back to ground. What do I want? Who am I? What's important to me? What's important to me? Can I see the opinions and needs and projections of others and the emotions of others come at me with a lot of compassion? People are just operating from where they're operating from. And I don't have to catch it. I can just let it go and find a little space with this wind. I can come back. Oh, someone else is sending something my way, right? It can come at me and I can let it go. I don't have to hold it or catch it. I can come back. And then I can go back to ground. What's important to me? With that ending thought, what's important to me? Would you like to bring your hands to a part of the body that feels like it wants a little support, that it needs a little connection? What works best for you? Or what's your body saying to you? Maybe it's just your awareness and not even your hands. And taking a couple of slow ish breaths here. And remembering that what's important to you is important, and it's okay to make that distinction and that decision. When you've kind of ground that into your body a little bit, let it land, let it root. You might be ready just to bow your head, just into this, not bowing into dogma or a deity, but really just humbling ourselves to this really wild human experience where we show up with sentience and we kind of bumble around. We try to make sense of the senseless. We try to add form to the formless. We try to give meaning to the meaninglessness. Just bowing to how amazing humans are and our adaptability and our resilience. And when we bow to ourselves, but we bow to every other being on this planet, whether we align or agree with them or not. We remember who we are and what we want, and we lift our head high in that vertical line again. So lift your head high, find your dignity through your spine. Thank you for being here for this practice. Feel free to email me with any questions. I'm appreciative of your time and your attention capital. Thank you.
Thank you.